Microsoft shipped Internet Explorer 9 last week. It's been a rewrite from the ground up in regards to the JavaScript engine, which is now the fastest in the SunSpider tests. It also incorporates a lot of modern technologies using HTML5 and hardware acceleration for passing off to the GPU for things like Canvas, SVG and video. I just wanted to show you some of the demos that we released alongside Internet Explorer 9 to take advantage of these new examples. This here is a demo using Canvas showing pictures coming in from Flickr, the photo sharing site. You'll notice it uses web fonts, and when I mouse over these images I see them enlarge. If I do a real-time search of Flickr for Mount Eden, so this is all the pictures that have been tagged as Mount Eden, and it brings those in real time, and I can actually zoom in or control click on one of these images and it will take me through to the source of that image over on Flickr. If I just go back to the test drive site now, recently we introduced a concept called deep zoom that we use inside of Silverlight, and this is a way of getting very high resolution images out and zoom into them and see the tiniest details. So this is really if you have gigapixel type images. You'll notice here I'm zooming in and zooming out. Previously these image file sets needed to be displayed using either JavaScript or Silverlight for hardware acceleration. We now support a canvas view for this, and this is using the GPU on my machine to hardware accelerate against the same image sets that we had before. If I come in here, this is an example of a game just been made using the new canvas element inside of HTML5, just a hand-drawn game of pinball that I can play using the arrow keys on my keyboard. It's a simple game, but previously I guess you would have needed Silverlight or Flash to create something like this, and now it can be done natively. We released the Master of the Web game when we shipped IE9, so if we have a look at masteroftheweb.com/NZ, you can actually compete here to win cash prizes, and this is again using the canvas tag and the GPU acceleration. So I'm just playing a game here, not too great on it. Another site, wayoutwars.com, was released by EMI in Australia and worked with the Microsoft Australian team to get this one developed. Again, this is using HTML5 audio, and it's also using Canvas, and we can create a game where we can actually guess the song that's playing. So I'm not really good with some of the classic stuff, so not sure who this one is. Is it Men at Work? Nope. Peter Gabriel? Now, no idea about this one either. Robbie Williams, there we go. Lily Allen, sneezy one. The Kooks, one of my favourite bands. Beach Boys. Blur, got that one. First Bar. Coldplay, easy, too easy. Ooh, tricky one. I think this is a Yearsayer. Yeah, Yearsayer, this one. Sex Pistols, too easy. So this is using MP3 audio, and this is something that can play out in all of the modern browsers. So it's a pretty good demo. Now if I go back to the IE test drive page, the other thing that's been introduced, although it's not HTML5, is geolocation within the browser. And if I locate myself here, it's using Boston Row, because I'm on wired internet as the closest cabinet. It's scary if I use this on Wi-Fi with Chrome because they pinpoint my house, because they've been using the fingering the Wi-Fi points. Over here, this is something we released with Foursquare, so foursquareplayground.com. Again, this is using the geolocation feature in the browser if you choose to share your location, and it shows you all the places around where you are that are popular, that people are checked in on Foursquare. So this is the Owen Glen building at the business school. Those are the people who are currently checked in there. Can click the image and see the mayor. And you'll notice the size of the building indicates how many check-ins it's actually had. So the University of Auckland is the most popular building around this area. I've actually logged in using Foursquare to Mount Eden domain, so that the summit at Mount Eden, I live quite close to here, and if I click in there you'll see me actually sitting inside the summit at Mount Eden. There I am, and Yep, waving to you. So it's a great way of actually visualizing some of the services that can come out of using something like Foursquare on your mobile phone. So Mark Kay is currently the Mayor of Mount Eden. So this is just a rich visualization over the top of existing work that Foursquare does, but it's a great way of seeing how these new, richer web technologies can be applied, especially with geolocation. One of the first things you'll notice when you start using Internet Explorer 9 is how fast it is. And the reason for this is that we've added hardware acceleration using the GPU on your machine to Canvas, SVG, video, and a lot of the HTML5 elements. So when we actually have a look at this, if we launch IE9, we've got a new site set up called Test Drive. And if you come into the speed demos here in Test Drive, you can open up the IE fish tank, and you can see the performance here when I've got 20 fish, or when I actually move up to 500 fish. Now this is using the GPU on my machine. Other browsers, like Chrome, don't currently support hardware acceleration. So if I was to load up Google Chrome, the current version of Chrome 10, and show the same demo alongside IE9, you'll notice that it performs okay with 20 fish, even using the software acceleration. But then when I go up to 500 fish, you'll notice that it just doesn't get off the ground at all, running only at sort of 4 or 5 frames per second. Now Chrome is adding hardware support, so if I load up the Canary build of Google Chrome 12 and I turn on all of the flags to enable hardware acceleration on my machine, you'll notice that they're working on this and getting a better performance in future versions, which will ship at some day in the future. So this is promising because it means that you can start to look at using Canvas in this way to create these sort of accelerated apps. You notice it's still not quite as good as IE9, but it is getting much better than the first version of Chrome. Now Firefox 4 release candidate, this is due to ship shortly. This also supports hardware acceleration like IE9. So if I come in here and I perform the fish tank test using Firefox RC, Firefox 4 RC, you'll notice it's actually performing a lot better than the Chrome 12 hardware acceleration build. So they seem to have performance tuned it to a much higher level. If I bring it up to 500 fish here inside of Firefox, you'll notice that the frames per second around 60, so it's performing really well in that particular fish canvas 2D acceleration test. But not all tests are created equal, and I guess we're going to get into scenarios where developers push the browsers to more and more extremes when they're creating these kind of HTML5 canvas examples. So if I come in here, this one's actually using SVG and testing acceleration on SVG between IE9 and Firefox 4. You'll actually notice both of these are hardware accelerated, but the performance inside of Firefox 4 isn't terribly great under SVG acceleration. I'm not quite sure why that is, but certainly performs better on IE9. If I was to look at this Galactic demo, now this one is again 2D canvas, but it really pushes the limit by developing really a 3D environment. So the way it does this is it's actually mapping photos from NASA over objects, which is showing each of the planets in our solar system, and then performing an orbit around the Sun with those image mapped photos. Now this is pushing really canvas in 2D to the extreme, mimicking a 3D environment. But you'll notice that across IE9 and Firefox 4, I'm getting 41 frames per second on the left on IE9 and only 14 frames per second on the right on Firefox 4. So this is really around the limit of what my graphics card can do. Also bearing in mind it's slowed down because I'm capturing the screen at the same time. But this is really where I see maybe in the future applications heading using the web standards technologies. I close Firefox 4 here and I can actually just show you how this runs full screen in IE9, and it really gives an amazing experience. So download IE9 and check it out. Thanks.